My name is Allie. I am the social media editor for Cascade PBS. I'm joined by Alison Mariella Désir, the host of our show Out and Back,
Hi.
runner, activist, mama, author.
A
There
lot of
is nothing
things.
she can't do. So we're going to answer some viewer submitted questions, some staff submitted questions, some
Fun.
Allie submitted questions. Um, all right, let's get started. So, Out and Back is now 3 seasons old. Congratulations.
Wild. Thank you.
A toddler.
Yes.
Um, what has been the most challenging activity you've tried so far on the show?
Hmm. That's a good question. So I would say in terms of like technical stuff, surfing has been the most challenging, but mostly honestly because of the expectations in my head, which is something that my guest addressed, right? Like the idea of surfing is that you got to get up on the board and you got to like look really cool. And what my guest said was surfing is just you connecting with the waves, right? So technically, surfing is not about, showing off and getting up. But in my head,
Yeah,
I wanted that. So I would say that's the most difficult, but also so fun.
it looked so fun.
Yeah,
I
beautiful.
I would love to try surfing.
You should. It's not something that like you could just like run and do, right? You obviously have to find a place with waves and the equipment, but well worth it.
Yeah. I wish I had tried when we lived in California, but like I know I can go to the coast here.
For
So,
sure.
um, so what's next for Out and Back? Because you've already started season 4, right?
Yes, we are in progress. We're just at the point of, having identified all the guests, all the activities, and in planning. And if all goes according to plan, I'm going to be doing some really cool stuff this season. And it seems like, you know, when I first started the show, all of this stuff was new to me. And sometimes I'm like, am I going to run out of things to do? But there are so many activities, so many cool people. And it's my favorite thing in the world. Like, I just get to dive into somebody else's world and share their story and sort of like, wear that experience.
Yeah. No, that I'm so excited. I love this show so much.
Yay.
It's so fun. And every time I watch it, I'm like, oh, I didn't know we could do that. Um, so you're a relatively new transplant to the Seattle area. And I know this is a viewer asked question. How
Huh.
does living in Seattle compare to living in Harlem?
Night and day. I mean, there really is no comparison. And that's not a bad thing. They're just very, very different places. So I remember when I first moved to Seattle, granted, it was during COVID, so there weren't a lot of people around, but I thought to myself, is this like they call this a city, right? Because it just seemed so small
Coming from New
compared.
York. Yeah, I get that.
But what I'll say, like New York for me feels like it's always on, there's always something to do. And Seattle is not that, but it's beautiful. There is always something to do in the outdoors, right? It's just like the culture is very different. And I think for me, when I was younger, Seattle would not have been the place for me, just knowing who I was. But now being so connected to the outdoors, having my son and making sure that he's connected to nature and the slower pace, like all of that works for me. But yeah, I mean, night and day. Like you don't go to Seattle expecting New York, and you don't go to New York expecting Seattle. You just have to appreciate both cities being great and different.
Yeah. And you get to go back to New York pretty frequently.
Yeah, and I go back often, which is always like a fun burst of energy. But then when I leave, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm tired. So I get the best of both worlds.
Nice. Every time I go to New York, I'm like, did I did I make a mistake? And then I come back and I'm like, no, no, you did not. This is the correct choice.
Yeah, it's a lot of stimulation. It's great, but I guess you have to be more intentional in New York about like taking care of yourself and calming your nervous system than you do here.
Yeah, definitely. Um, do you have any like advice for other people that have decided to move here as a recent transplant? Because like you've done a pretty amazing job of building like an amazing community here.
Yeah,
So like if somebody was new, how would you, what are some tips you would have for them?
yeah, for sure. The number one thing I would say is that you have to be intentional about finding community, right? Whereas in New York, there you may like bump into somebody and you may be on the train, like you're often in close proximity with people. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to talk to them or get to know them, but in Seattle you are, people are more spread out, and particularly if you're a person of color looking for other people of color in the outdoors or movement spaces, you have to be intentional. So for me, one of the ways that I did that was through this show. Obviously it's been such a huge part of my feeling comfortable here, but all of the guests and organizations that I talk about are there for you too, right? So plug in with an activity that you like or places that you like to go to and actively make friends. Friends will not come to you in Seattle.
Yeah.
You have to work a little harder, but I've been here 4 years and I can honestly say that I have good friends here. I have stuff I'm excited about. So it's possible.
Yay. Um, and when you first got here, did you did you pitch the show to us or did like
Mm,
Sarah come to you? Sarah
yeah,
Menzies is our producer. Uh
I
like
love this story.
how did that happen?
Yeah, so Sarah Menzies, I had been on a panel with her, a virtual panel with her during COVID. She saw that I was moving to Seattle and she reached out to me and told me that she had this new job at Cascade PBS and they were looking for original content and she wanted to know if I wanted to host my own show. And I was like, yeah. And so she already knew a lot about me, the work that I'd been doing, building community and really centering the experiences of people of color. And so she, based on that, she had ideas of what the show could possibly be. But I really, you know, pitched this idea of, um, you know, sharing stories of the Pacific Northwest, the history that people may not know, and meeting interesting people and doing activities. So it was a little bit of both. Like Sarah definitely had done her research and knew what I was about, and me really thinking about like, well, what would I want that to look like? So
That's awesome.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah,
Um, you also have a book, Running While
yes,
Black,
yes,
best-selling book. Do
yeah.
you have plans to write another book?
I would love to, and there are a few projects like plans around books that I have. But to be honest, I mean, writing a book takes so much energy and so much focus. It's like, I mean, if you do it on the side, it takes years to come together. And I have friends who have written a book and it's taken them 5 years. Nothing wrong with that. But I don't have the time to commit to it. But I would love to write another book. The amount of people that you can reach and I really think it's an opportunity for people to see people's perspectives in ways that they don't right now, right? Like people watch the news that they watch, have the friends that they have, but picking up a book, somebody gets to enter a different world and try on a different perspective. So super powerful tools. I hope so one day, maybe when my son's like 20.
And then you can have the second book child.
Exactly, exactly.
All right, let me see. What else is there were so many good questions. Oh, you are training for your second summit of
Yes.
Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
How are you training locally? And like, what did you learn on the first summit that you are now like applying to training this time? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
maybe like mistakes you can avoid this time or whatever?
hmm So something that I learned, which is kind of like a weird thing to learn, but is that I trained way harder than I needed to. Right. So I mean, somebody had told me who had climbed it before that you want to be in such good shape that it doesn't feel hard. That way you can actually connect with people and have fun and build relationships. And that was amazing advice. And I took it to heart and I trained really hard for the first time. This time I'm still training, but I realized that I don't need to do quite as much as I did and I can still feel good. So some of my work is just on the treadmill, honestly. Sometimes just going on the highest incline. My son's there, so I can, get it done. but we are so lucky to have so many incredible places to hike here.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the ones that are just easy, not in terms of like difficulty level, but I mean just like they're like right there.
Yeah.
I do Mount Si often. I do Poo Poo Point. I'm hosting a group to do Mailbox Peak. And again, these are like they're right there, but it's so amazing that they're right there.
Hmm.
And one of my favorite things to do, which is much like on the show, is just like look up a place to hike that I've never been before and try it, right? And have no expectations for it and see how it goes. So it's really cool. That's another way to really that's more about getting to know the place, not the people, but to make plans around getting outside. Like if you just say one day I'm going to do this, it's not going to happen. Like start planning, especially in the summer here, people go hard with plans.
Yeah.
So make plans around the places that you want to get to so you can actually accomplish them.
That is very good advice. Um, so like of the hikes that you've done just between like training and just like living here, it's impossible to not go for a hike.
Yeah.
Are there like, do you have like a top five that
Mm.
you've done?
I will say one of my favorites is definitely Mount St. Helens, which is a volcano that exploded 45 years ago on
Sunday.
yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah.
on Sunday. And I mean, that definitely freaks me out because I'm like, these things are cyclical, but what exactly is the next time? You can't
Hmm.
predict. But what
Yeah.
I love about Mount St. Helens is that, I mean, it's really hard, or at least it was really hard for me. But when you get to the top and you can see all the other peaks, you're just like, wow, like I live here. Like, how is this so beautiful? How is this possible? And a side effect of living here is that you do inherently care, or I shouldn't say inherently, at least for me, I've come to care even more about these places, right? Like, you can't visit, and even just driving, seeing Tahoma, Rainier, you can't experience that without feeling like, man, I need to be more involved in taking care of this planet, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, Mount St. Helens is if you get the opportunity to do that, like take it.
Did you do it like as part of the Mother's Day hike?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So, Erica, who was a guest on this past season, she's the creator of PNW Happy Hikers and Backpackers. She organized a group for this like annual Mother's Day tradition where everybody wears tutus at the top. So I got to experience that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really
I
great.
that is one of the like dream hikes that I have. So I need to I
Make a
need to
plan.
do it. I need to make the plan. I just did I did Lake 22 over the weekend.
Oh, beautiful.
So dead, Allison.
Yeah, that's no joke. That
No.
I did that last year. I do not think I'll be doing that this year.
Mm-mm. I got
That's a
home
skip.
and oh, I was like, I've never been happier to have trekking bowls.
Yes.
Oh
That's the
God.
thing. I will say things like that are things that you learn, right? Just like initially last year, there's this idea that trekking poles are somehow it's like cheating or somehow only people who really need them should use them. Like, no, if you
No.
can make something more enjoyable, take weight off of your body, support yourself. I mean, everybody uses trekking poles.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
It will come in handy when you're walking down watery
Oh my
rocks.
gosh, totally. Save your life.
Yeah, save your life, save your legs, save your back.
Yeah.
Um, are there any hikes that you haven't done that are on like your bucket list?
I would love to do so I'm not somebody who really gets into the like, you know, hiking or climbing all the mountains or all of those things like, running all the marathon majors. Like that's not really my thing. But when I being at the top of Mount St. Helens, like looking at Mount Adams, like there is something in me that's curious about these other hikes. And the big piece for me is that I'm very afraid of heights.
Hmm.
So it would be pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. The piece about that, like with my fear of heights, is that then every year you do learn that people, die on the mountain. So there's like a real reason for being afraid, but I would love to push myself, and maybe I don't reach the peak, right? But to push myself to know more of these mountain ranges here.
That would be super cool. I
Yeah.
love going like on the ferry and on like a really clear day, you can just see like Baker and Adams and Glacier and Rainier. And it's just like, how do I get to
Unreal.
live here?
Unreal, right?
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Um, okay, I have some running questions. Do you have any advice if somebody is interested in getting into running for the first time? Like, what would you tell them?
So right now, I think is both a really great time to get into running and also a really intimidating time to get into running because there are so many people doing it. And I have to say, the running industry and culture is like not great right now, right? So a lot of spaces, for example, have become spaces that are around like dating or finding partners, which I think can make it complicated for somebody to show up and then feel like they're being looked at in that way. Anyway, but what I would say is if, start small. Definitely do not compare yourself to a younger version of yourself if you were ever an athlete like that. I see so many people, particularly my age now, 40, who go back to an activity that they did in their 20s and then like ruin themselves. Like we are not in our 20s anymore. So don't compare yourself. Start off walking, run walking. And what you want to do is build slowly, not injure yourself so that you can do this for a long time, right? Like there's no race to get into shape. You take your time. And honestly, like stay off of social media so that you don't play the comparison game.
Don't make your Strava profile just yet.
Exactly.
Love Strava, but it
I
makes
love
me
Strava too.
competitive.
But yeah, if you know that you're a competitive person, or if you know if you're fueled just by kudos, then you could find yourself doing things that aren't necessarily the best for your body. So take care of yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Um, do you have like a running playlist or certain
Hmm.
songs that you get like amped up to
You
run
know,
with?
I do when I'm on the treadmill. Like when I'm running outside, I don't generally listen to music because I mean it just like takes you out of your body rather than in your body, safety reasons, all of that. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I love listening to, I mean, I listen to stuff that I wouldn't normally listen to. I'm not listening for the words, right? But the words will be like the most disrespectful works, but they'll have the beat that I need, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not even gonna throw out names of artists because sometimes I'm like, how do I listen to it? But hey, gets the heart rate going.
Yeah. If you need those BPMs, you need them.
That's it.
All you can say.
That's it.
Um, do you prefer skiing or snowboarding?
I love this question because I feel like, I mean, maybe this isn't like every sport, but there's two types of people in this world.
Yep. They're skiers and snowboarders.
Exactly. And I have to say, I'm a snowboarder. Like, and I love things that involve boards.
Mhm.
I also like all of the things that involve boards are sports that are sort of counterculture, right? It doesn't
Mhm.
mean counterculture culture definitely doesn't mean approachable because snowboarding is so expensive, so elite, so many things that are problematic in the industry, but they are sort of like responses to another thing that is appealing to a subculture, right?
Mhm.
So, um, yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with skiing, but snowboarding, like, it's just, it's a vibe, man.
Yeah. Because you also, yeah, you did surfing, snowboarding. You also did
Skateboarding.
skateboarding, which is
Exactly.
very counterculture.
Exactly.
Do you think you're gonna keep skateboarding?
You know, I would love to, but it's one of those things I have to be realistic. Like I cannot fall that much and
Yeah,
I can't be showing up with like scrapes on my elbows. If I'm hurt, how do I care for my son? So it's like I'm realistic that that may not be the thing for me in this life, but
fair.
it's a lot of fun.
But you tried it, and
I tried it.
that's the
Tried it.
important
So
thing.
happy I did.
Yeah. And actually that kind of like wow, we really like blasted through these questions. That kind of actually leads me to like the last question that I have is
Mm.
what is your philosophy on trying new things?
So trying new things is honestly my favorite because when you try something for the first time, you have no expectations, or you may have expectations, but you have, I mean, you've never done it before. So you're not supposed to be good, right? Like, I love that experience because I'm both, I'm learning, like taking in new information and applying it. Like, that is really cool. Like, when somebody, at least for me, when somebody is giving me instruction and I'm getting this new information in my brain and my brain is like making sense of it and then telling my body to do things, like that's so cool to me. I think it's the second time, it's the third time that's more intimidating because now you have an experience to compare it to. And now you're thinking, oh, I should be better by now. Oh, why do I keep making the same mistake? Right. Like, I mean, of course, I do continue to try things, but I do think like it's almost harder once you've tried it the first time to remind yourself, I'm still a beginner and I'm always learning. So, man, I mean, I'll try anything that won't kill me once, and I've had so much fun. Like, for people who are afraid of trying new things, just remember you're not supposed to be good. You're not supposed to know anything about it.
Yeah,
And, I think there's fun in that.
that's a good way to look at it. You're not supposed to be good at it. It's
Yeah.
the
Like,
first time.
you're not supposed to know the language. You're not supposed to, your body's not supposed to go that way. It's never gone that way before, right? Like, that's kind of liberating.
Yeah, because okay, you've already said like you are afraid of heights. You rock climbed.
I know. I know. And this is something like, because again, there's always like real danger involved in these things, but I also, when you're afraid when you have a fear, it's like the additional fear that you put on top of the regular fear,
Yeah,
right? So being able to work through that, I'm also, while I'm afraid of heights and other things, I'm also not one to limit myself, right? Like, this life is short and I want to make every opportunity that I can to do these things, especially since it's such a privilege that I'm able to. So,
yeah, totally. Yeah, I like just the fact alone that you not only did you rock climb, but you rock climbed outside. You weren't even like in a climbing gym with a bunch of
I
pads.
know,
You
I
were
know,
outside.
I know. I'm actually wearing the pants that I wore that day, and there's like a little scrape when I was lifting my leg up. And I remember when that happened, thinking to myself, oh my God, like, these rocks are real. Like, this is not pretend. I can really hurt myself. But shout out to Cecil, who was my guest that day. Like, he and many of my guests are such good teachers. He was so calm and so sure that I was going to make it, which I'm like, how could you be sure? I didn't know I was going to make it.
Mhm.
But having a good guide, good teachers is a big part of it too.
Yeah, and you get such good ones.
I
Like,
know.
and at this point, like a lot of the people that you interview kind of they all like not all of them, but a lot of them know each other, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, and that's something that's so different from New York. Although, like, the smaller, the more your interests focus you are on certain interests, the more people know each other. But there really is like just a couple of degrees of distance from everybody, and lots of people have worked together. Also, in Seattle, everybody is a multi-sport athlete, right? Like, they're on snow in the winter, they're on water in the summer, they're on road, right? So because of that, there's a lot of intersecting like moments for people, and I feel lucky that I get to like hang out with these people and use my platform to elevate the work that they're doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Um, those were all of the questions I had. Did anybody send you any questions?
No.
Oh, that's
The
annoying.
Yeah, no questions. I know, I think maybe there was some like, can I really ask?
Yes.
Like, please.
Please ask the question.
Yeah, but no, these are great.
Yay. Well, I mean, if you're just coming off another interview, man, like I think we did a great job.
I think so too. This
Yeah.
is fun.
All right, great. Well, I'm gonna do a little outro.
Cool.
Thank you for joining me today. I love chatting with you. Um, Out and Back will be back in the winter
That's right. January,
2026.
February 2026. That sounds
Jeez.
bananas.
I know. It is May. The year is almost half over, which is also
Wow.
uh, but I'm excited to find out about all of the activities you're doing.
Thank you so much, Ali, for all of your support, and helping to bring moments like this to life.
You're welcome.